Hello, and welcome to this episode of Retrospective Cinema, a podcast wherein we'll endeavor week after week to see the full filmographies of chosen directors. We'll interpret, critique, and discuss. I am your co-host, Ryan Saylor.
And I am your other co-host, Annie Morell. And today we'll be actually finishing our discussion of Lynne Ramsay's filmography, at least for now. She does have another one coming out. But this week is You Were Never Really Here. And here's a clip.
It's a beautiful day.
It is a beautiful day.
That was from You Were Never Really Here. We'll talk about it in just a sec. But first, we actually did have a short film in between. There also was a short film released after You Were Never Really Here, but since we plan on coming back to talk about Die My Love later in the year, once that releases, we'll talk about Bridget, I don't know. They said her name in there, but
Brigitte?
No, it wasn't that.
It wasn't Brigitte?
We'll talk about that once we'll pair that with Die My Love. But we did watch Swimmer. I assume you don't have too much to say about it. At least I don't. But we should talk about that first. So what'd you think of Swimmer?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I was hugely impacted by it in general. My kind of two big takeaways. One, the opening shot of the swimmer. It's all filmed in black and white, which gorgeous. The version that I watched, unfortunately, incredibly pixelated on YouTube. That was the best version I could find. Regardless, gorgeous cinematography in this one. Not that Lynne Ramsay does her own art direction, but very cool opening shot. And not to skip ahead too much to You Were Never Really Here, but I saw a direct parallel between that shot of the swimmer underneath the water, just this soul figure in this kind of dreamy sequence to the underwater sequence in You Were Never Really Here, which I'm sure we will talk about later. So that was beautiful, and then kind of the most playful score as well of all
the sound
of her work,
great.
I would say. Yeah. And then my other kind of thought, and I'm guessing you did not have this reaction to this sequence, but the sequence where he's kind of swimming through this narrower, kind of almost jungle area, and you start to see these kid figures around. There's a kid in a donkey costume, and they've got arrows that they're shooting at him in the water. Just even before those bits happened, even when it was just this kind of lazy river jungle thing, I thought immediately Disney Jungle Cruise. And then it just, to me, I'm I would be shocked if it wasn't supposed to have Disney imagery because of the kid donkey. There's this kind of Peter Pan and the Lost Boys feel to that sequence with, especially with the arrows, a little bit like Pinocchio as well with the donkey. And yeah, I don't know. I have no idea how that connects to the rest of it. And I'm not even sure I fully understand the point of it, but did you get that?
Did I? No. I like it. I like the that you felt that and that it was then built upon. But no, I did not have the Jungle Cruise on my mind. The ride or Dwayne Johnson's interpretation.
Haven't had the pleasure.
Assume you mean the ride.
I did.
Yeah. But no, that's great. Yeah, I don't honestly I didn't evoke much from me, unfortunately. I thought so. I didn't look too much into it, but it said it was sponsored by the Olympic group of that year. So I thought that was kind of funny in and of itself, because if it's meant to promote swimming or endurance or perseverance or whatever, all it did was kind of make that look shitty. It didn't look very fun, and he gets shot at, and I don't know, didn't make me want to sign up for the Olympics or anything. But yes, I agree. The cinematography was beautiful. And I assume that's more or less what it was about, is, just keep going. And it explores kind of the area, like you see a lot of the ecosystem, and such. So maybe that in and of itself is promotion. But if that interpretation of the canal was showing the best parts, then well, I guess I won't offend a whole country or something here, but it didn't seem, it didn't make me want to visit either. So
I loved it.
Okay, very cool.
I want to visit. I want to go on the Jungle Cruise.
See the backside of water. Yeah, I mean, obviously we don't want to spend too much time on Swimmer anyway, but or the short films anyway, in this case Swimmer, but I came off Small Deaths and such with a lot to talk about in this one. I was pleasantly surprised at how different it looked. I liked that she tried something else, but that's really all I had.
Yeah, it did feel, that doesn't shock me that it was kind of sponsored by the Olympics, even though I agree with you that I don't think it really ultimately made long distance swimming enticing to me. But you had that nice moment at the end, this kind of turmoil of the night into this wide open space of the canal in the day, very tranquil. It was fine. Well, I too liked that she tried something a little different.
So this was a revisit for me. I had not seen it since it first came out in 2018, although everything I found says 2017, but maybe it didn't make it to theaters till then. I was gonna research that but forgot. But I quite liked it at the time. I hadn't seen it since. In a rewatch now, I actually have the sneaking suspicion that we might differ in opinion on this one, but I'm curious to first hear your thoughts on that. I don't know what'd you feel about You Were Never Really Here?
I mean, I definitely liked it more than We Need to Talk About Kevin. I felt overall my main issue was the pacing of it. Yeah, like it felt a bit rushed at times, but simultaneously like lingered a little bit too much on other moments that I didn't feel were warranted. It's one where I was like, oh cool, it's 90 minutes. I love a good 90-minute film. And I actually think I would have liked a little bit more in it. And I was reading actually that when Lynne Ramsay submitted it to Cannes, it was not finished when it was not the finished cut, which is maybe also why the release date is like 2018, but also 2017. And yeah, it feels, that really makes sense to me that maybe she needed like a little more time, which is kind of hilarious to me since it took, 8 years or so for her to release this after
Sure.
We Need to Talk About Kevin. What did you think?
Yeah, I still love it. I think it's pretty incredible. I have kind of a fascinating, or I had kind of a fascinating thought watching this time that I haven't verbalized yet. I wanted to process it with you here. I guess I simultaneously felt, and this is one of the only times I felt this, I think, watching a movie, I simultaneously felt like Lynne Ramsay's style and the things she was interested in within the story were at odds with the material.
Oh.
And I also felt that she made a fantastic movie. So I think I can kind of make heads or tails of that, but it was an interesting experience because you see like the security cam footage sequence of the home invasion, or a lot of the aftermath of violence, or different things. And you can see how basically anyone else, in fact, I mean, the people the director she's clearly inspired by for this film, Scorsese, Park Chan-wook, probably others, but those two especially stood out to me, would film very differently and focus on very different things. But she chooses to usually only show the aftermath of violence, still gruesomely, don't get me wrong, and often focuses on the quiet moments before and after action. There's very little proper action in the film, and when there is, there's no the sound design specifically does not draw any attention to the hits. I assume you noticed also that hits just don't feel like they land ever in this film.
Yeah. And before we get too far into talking about the nitty gritty of the film, I want to give a quick content warning. We will be discussing the topics of suicide and child abuse in this episode, and we are a full spoiler podcast. So if you don't want any of those things, probably stop listening now. Don't. We want you to listen, but
yeah, all they got was the talk about the swimmer in the Olympics. Now they gotta go.
Now they gotta go watch swimmer, I guess. Not that we recommend it.
No, yeah, Lynne Ramsay never has made a film that didn't need a content warning. I guess we can confirm. No, I still love it. I think it's really interesting, and I think on that note, on that warning, its comments on PTSD especially are very interesting, and I think it portrays it in very exciting ways from a filmmaking standpoint.
No, I agree with what you're saying. Especially, I definitely in my notes wrote down the aftermath of violence, like that phrase specifically, because she does that all, which I think she does it in previous
right, but not to this extent, I think, and not to
sure
not to the level of gore, I think, specifically.
Yeah, because there's a lot of violence throughout this one, whereas with We Need to Talk About Kevin, there's kind of one, there are little spurts of violence throughout, but really it's just the one big school shooting at the end that is the big part, or the big piece of violence within it.
Sure.
And yeah, I did notice that about the sound design too. I thought that was an incredible move on whoever's part, whoever decided that, if it was her.
Yeah, I think it was her. I'd assume, at least.
Yeah, just very dampened, because for him, for that character, it totally makes sense. He's desensitized to violence in a lot of ways, while simultaneously going through a lot of PTSD because of the violence that he saw in the military. I did, kind of jumping, I guess, to the opening, I don't know if you made a Ratcatcher parallel, but it starts with
one more time she does the strangling in the sheets.
Yeah,
opening.
She really has exactly two ways to start a feature film, and it's either curtains or suffocation. So that was jarring, but it, unlike Ratcatcher, it was actually him suffocating himself in a plastic bag. So just strapped right in. No, I think it's interesting that you thought that I would have the opposite opinion to you for this one.
I didn't think you'd hate it or anything, but I felt like the elements that kept the audience at bay in this film, and did turn a lot of people off when you read reviews both at the time and contemporary, I thought those would bother you as well. Just the choices to kind of have such a conventional narrative, and then to portray it in such a way that keeps the audience away from any of the conventional elements. Not to say you need a conventional film or anything. I felt like they would get to you a little more than maybe they did.
It sounds like you're trying to call me basic, but
No, I know. That's specifically what I was trying to avoid. But yeah.
No. I definitely felt gripped by the film.
Okay.
Yeah, I think.
Well, I'm glad. It's great.
The way that she does suspense is maybe what I enjoy the most about her style. That it is this kind of slight distance or lack of showing the visual of the actual big action moments. I I don't dislike that. I think it can be done more and less effectively. You know, I think it's done a lot more effectively in this movie than in her previous one.
No question.
But yeah, no, I mean, I think it's very much in the category of Morven Caller in that it's a psychological thriller drama, and I love that genre. So I did like it. I felt like there were things missing from it, and I'm not, you know, we'll get more into that I think as we go through, but
cool.
Yeah.
No, that's fair. I don't mean to put opinions in your mouth or anything. I just while watching I was like, I think I'm gonna like this one more than any, but you know, I've been wrong before.
Well, and it does sound like you did like it more. Okay. So you were right, I guess.
I talked about before we started recording a small surprise. It's not that exciting, but I remembered, you know, this is now within my time as a budding film critic. So I have this appears on my top 10 films of the year list for 2018. I will not link my old blog because in rereading my old writing, goodness gracious, I've improved in my opinion. But yeah, this came in at number 6 on my films of the year. And I wrote at the time that the film has some of the best coloring of the year, fantastic performances across the board, that the plot progresses in super interesting ways, and that it is one of the better portrayals of PTSD on film. I also wrote that Joaquin Phoenix is a versatile actor and that he kills it here. So yeah, so I agree with all those things that Past Ryan wrote.
I agree with Past Ryan as well. I mean, fantastic performances across the board, but at the same time, it really is mostly Joaquin Phoenix.
Yes.
Like, you know, we are a full spoiler podcast, and I have to say I was pretty taken aback that every other main actor was slaughtered by like halfway through the movie.
Sure.
His mom and his boss, John McCleary, that quintessential Irish guy.
Yeah, I probably was referring, I don't know, I'd have to ask 2018 Ryan. He's been gone for 7 years. But I was probably mostly referring to Joaquin Phoenix and then the young child actress, which I do not know her name. And I guess I should look her up, see if she's done anything in 7 years.
Yeah, nor do I. But I agree. Nina is the character's name. I know that. And she was, sure. She was excellent. Again, not very in the movie.
Yeah. But makes an impact.
Mostly not there. But definitely makes an impact.
Mostly never
she has
really
the final. Wow, that was unintentional.
I wondered, since I pulled this up, since I found this, I wondered if you wanted to briefly take some guesses at what were my films in 2018, what I picked for the top 10.
You're trying to make me remember what came out in 2018.
Yeah, I am.
And I think you'll do
good.
I don't. I was in the middle of college.
Same.
You
can, I guess, if you really want, you can pull up a 2018 films list and go from there. But
I'm going to. I already started doing it. I was already going to cheat without your permission. Top 2018 picks. This year, yeah, I can. Well, you liked Roma, I'm pretty sure.
Roma was my number 1 of the year. At the time,
yes,
okay. I think this list would move around a little bit now, but yeah, at the time that was my number 1.
I mean, The Favorite came out that year. That was probably my favorite.
Number 2. Doing great.
Black Klansman?
Number 10, yes.
Oh, number 10. Ooh, should be higher. Like, did you like?
I guess we know number 6 is You Were Never Really Here.
Okay.
Did I like what?
Green Book? Is Green Book in there?
No,
I didn't see it.
No, good. It's not.
You know what? Good on you. Vice? Was Vice in the mix?
No, I still, to this day, have not seen Vice.
Oh, wow. I like The Big Short better, but I did like Vice.
You can give up if you want.
I want to give up. I just want to know.
Okay.
Yeah, tell me the ones I'm missing.
There is one, the huge one you've missed at number 4, which I think it's gone way up, is First Reformed. incredible movie.
which I've not seen.
Oh my gosh. Really?
Yeah. I remember you recommending it to me at the
Wow.
time.
That's an incredible film.
Oh.
Okay. I like that one even more than Morven Caller.
Ooh.
I'll just go quick here. My honorable mentions that year were Let the Sun Shine In and Annihilation. And then 10 Black Klansman, 9 The House That Jack Built, 8 Spider-Verse, the original.
Ooh.
7 Other Side of the Wind. 6 You Were Never Really Here. 5 Sorry to Bother You.
Oh, that was that year.
Yeah, so good. 4 First Reformed. 3 The Ballad of Buster Scruggs. You see that one?
I did see that one. Not that year. I saw it much later.
Mm-hmm. And then Favorite and Roma. Wow.
All right. Still haven't seen Roma. Anyway, back to the actual movie. I was gonna just make a little note about the opening sequence again. I don't know if you clocked this, but I really liked that the whole opening sequence was shot from like kid height. Which you could argue it was also to kind of there's a lot of like avoidance of faces in this at different points, and focusing on feet, and but I took it as like, oh, we are seeing this action, him doing his thing through like the eyes of a child, not a child that was there, obviously. I took, and maybe you can correct me, I took the beginning sequence to mean that he did not rescue that kid, since there was not a kid with him in the hotel.
Yeah. No, that's about what I got out of it as well.
And he burns the photo, and, and no child there. So like a failed mission, which is sad, of course. But yeah, that was like in Cincinnati. You had that like little shot of the cab, like Cincinnati. I like her scene setting. I feel like what she does well is not just like shoehorning in things that need to be explained to the audience. It seems very natural when she's doing when she's doing information dumps, especially at the start of her films. So
yeah, I have a quick question on that goes well here. So what this man, his whole thing is that he saves children from sexual abuse or kidnapping or something. Did you see anything in the text that specifically led to why that's him?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think his main flashback to when he was in the military is, at first it's just the shot of the bottom of this child's feet kind of in the dust squirming around, but eventually we get to see more of that memory, and you eventually find out that, I believe, and correct me again if I'm wrong, if I interpreted this wrong, especially since this was my first watch, but what I remember seeing is Joaquin Phoenix's character Joe giving like a candy bar to a child through a fence, and then another child killing that kid, like shooting that kid for the candy bar. And I took that whole moment to be a kind of metaphor for American military involvement, where it's like, oh, maybe we're trying to help, but like ultimately more harm is resulted from the attempts, misguided or not, even innocuous attempts to help like that. So I took that as like his most traumatic moment within his time in the military. And so the jump to, now I'm going to try to save kids.
That's fair. I guess so. Yes, I agree with everything for that scene. And then we get when he seems to be maybe a cop at some point, seeing all the dead bodies in the shipping container. So I guess I had that he was, some combination of, he tried within the military, within the police force, within the correct channels, so to speak, of making a difference. And now he's doing this. I guess I just didn't see that those specifically led to his plight being that he's going to save kids specifically and from this horrible thing specifically. But I see what you're saying. I just don't know that I saw that it added to that.
Well, and I think I think specifically he is saving kids from trafficking,
right,
of different types, like whether it's sex trafficking or what have you. But yeah, and I think that shipping container little sequence is definitely like, yeah, he's seeing there's a lot of suicidal ideation on his part throughout, and the way that I interpreted his character is that he has no other purpose, no other reason for being alive than this pursuit of trying to save children. That I shouldn't say that. I think he has two reasons for being alive at the start of the film, and that's, that to save kids, and then to take care of his mother, who was abused by his father, which is the other thing that he has PTSD from, and that we see a lot of flashbacks to, is him, again, not showing the actual violence against his mother, I think for the most part, maybe at all, but seeing him as a kid, like in a closet, hiding while this violence is happening. So yeah, and then, eventually, about halfway through the movie, his mom gets killed in this kind of retribution spree of killing on the part of the corrupt police. And yeah, then he has one goal. And I would even go even further and say that jumping, and I want to talk more extensively about this, but jumping to the sequence near the end of the movie where he is trying to rescue Nina again from the governor's mansion, ? Where he finds the governor with his throat slit, and he has this full breakdown because, like, what is there for him now? Yeah, and I think, that's a more complex bit as well, that I'm sure we'll get to, but yeah, I thought that was pretty his motivation was pretty clear.
No, okay. I guess it sounds like more of a hang up coming from me right now than it honestly is, but I guess all I'm saying is I see the connections you're making, but like that trafficking flashback, like with the shipping container, like those weren't all kids. It doesn't bother me that much, but I just thought it was interesting. I didn't see a specific textual reason for why he chooses just to save kids going forward.
Well, and maybe he's saving himself. He's saving his younger self in his mind.
Because he was a kid? Okay. I think that's actually, I like that a lot. I think that works better for me.
Good. On the subject of his mother, I really liked, so we get introduced to her. She's asleep, this old woman asleep in her recliner, and the TV is on, and she's like faking asleep, and there's this kind of sweet moment where she surprises him, but she says like, oh, Psycho was on earlier, and I was scared, and that of course immediately made me go, oh, what kind of mother-son relationship is this going to be, because of the very infamous mother-son relationship in
Spoilers
Psycho,
for Psycho, but yes.
Spoilers for Psycho. I mean, you've had about 70 years to see it. But yeah, watch Psycho if you haven't seen it. My God.
No.
Yeah, so I was a little worried, but I think it just kind of, these are, because in Psycho, a lot more twisted, but she has like this violent son who is like taking care of her until she dies, but then he kind of still thinks that he's taking care of her a little bit. And yeah, they're like bonded through, I think, wow, maybe I need to rewatch Psycho. Doesn't he have an abusive father as well?
Not that I remember.
Okay. Maybe I'm just trying to, anyway. Well, I liked it. I love a Hitchcock reference any and all times.
There you go. Going back just a moment on you're saying that you thought that the kids were his only reason to live. Yeah, I think that's very clearly there with the lake scene where he, is the closest he's gotten to a successful suicide attempt, of which there are many. in the film. And he finally chooses to live, specifically because he needs to go save Nina.
Yeah.
So
that was
yeah,
a gorgeous. Oh my gosh.
yeah. You referenced
really
that shot earlier. Do you want to talk about it now?
Oh yeah, I mean, just this kind of dream sequence of, well, it starts out as almost a reverse baptism of his mother, because he has his mother, you know, in a garbage bag, and he's clearly giving her like a burial ceremony, and he walks out into the river and then or into the lake, whatever body of water it is, and just keeps on walking, with rocks in his pockets as well. And then, yeah, you see this very clear moment of he is ready to go. His mom is dead. He doesn't have to take care of her anymore. But then Nina shows up in a dream sequence, in a hallucination, maybe one could argue too,
Sure.
Depending on how long he's been down there. And yeah, he realizes he has one last job, at least.
Yeah, which doesn't bode well for him after the film. I was thinking about.
Oh man, I do want to talk about the ending and what your interpretation was of it.
Yeah, so in a shot that I was actually dreading in this rewatch, I remembered it being pretty horrible, and it caught me off guard back when I saw it the first time, and I knew it was coming this time, so I was bracing myself like a jump scare, I guess. Joe finally in a restaurant puts a gun to himself and graphically kills himself, and then it does turn out to be, you know, his imagination, and he comes back to reality. But yes, I think first and foremost, you know, not that it would be fair otherwise based on the film, but I think that's showing us that he is not cured in any way by completing his mission. He still has this great struggle to deal with, but I don't necessarily think that means he kills himself once the film's over. I hope he finds something else to live for, but I also don't know that the film tells us that he doesn't kill himself the second the film's over, now that he's saved this girl, although she doesn't really have anywhere to go.
See, that lends into my interpretation, which is, yeah, he has that suicide fantasy, which I genuinely was like, this is probably real. Like we've really been setting it up this whole time, and it makes sense. He finished the job, he saved her, she's okay, and then it's revealed to be just a fantasy, and she says like Joe, like, wake up, it's a beautiful day, even as she herself has gone through a similar thing to him, where like everyone she knows, I assume, is dead. Like her whole family is dead, and she's been through this really traumatic event, and yet, you know, it's the resilience of children. You know, she's like, it's beautiful outside, let's go. And I think she maybe even understands him, and understands, maybe subconsciously, that, you know, this man is at the very least troubled. And I almost took that to be, well, like, no, his job actually isn't done, because now he has a new person to take care of.
Okay. I mean, I like that, and I'm glad to hear that interpretation.
That's what I want. That's what I want to have happened. But I think it's ambiguous for a reason. Did you read, because it's based on a novella, and the novella apparently has a very different ending and some different plot points as well that were changed?
No, feel free to go over them. I'm curious.
So in the novel, the senator doesn't die until the end, and Joe doesn't end up rescuing Nina. Instead, he confronts the senator, where it's revealed that he intentionally sold his daughter into slavery, so the mob would boost his political career. Which, either way, the way that the novel ends is that Joe kills the senator and then heads to Philadelphia, where Nina was moved, and that's the end. So he doesn't even save her by the end of the novel.
Well, I'm glad he does in the movie.
So, which I feel is a very different message.
Yeah, I think that that would kind of change how I interpret a lot of things, because in the film she represents kind of him again. Like, she's also going through all this horrible stuff, and yeah, I like what you said, that, you know, by saving her, maybe he's saving himself. So I don't know what it would do to the message if he just was unable to save her.
Yeah, I prefer how the movie ends, because we get to see like what happens when he doesn't have. We get to see a slight bit of what happens when he doesn't have his two causes anymore.
Right.
Whereas with how the novel ends, he still has a reason to live because he's still trying to get to her. But yeah, I thought that was interesting how different. Clearly, even though they're adaptations, like I think every movie that we've watched of hers has been an adaptation except for Ratcatcher.
Right.
But clearly she has a specific artistic vision, and takes a lot of liberties, which I kind of like.
She was clearly particularly proud of this one, because when it goes to credits, her name's the only one that doesn't fade in between changes. It says, you know, directed by Lynne Ramsay, and then the directed by fades away, and Lynne Ramsay just sits there until written by or screenplay by or whatever shows up. So I did note that. I was like, oh, okay, she's pretty proud of what she did here.
Which, yeah, she should be. It's great. It's my second favorite after Morvern Caller. Spoiler alert for the end of the episode. What did you think of the feet? What was your interpretation of the focus on feet? Because you had the kid's feet, and his mother's feet. After his mother has died, was killed, he kind of caresses her bare feet.
Yeah, I know, especially in recent years, maybe even post-COVID, feet have foot fetishes, shall we say, seem to have skyrocketed. The no feet for free meme has definitely advanced. But I think in general, feet, though they can be erotic in imagery, and we do see that with certain filmmakers, I think feet are also a very distinct part of the human body. They don't look normal, and they look interesting on film. So I think within this movie, I think it was just vulnerable and distinct parts of the human body without being overtly sexual. Was my reasoning for her focus on that in this film.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. Yeah, I definitely didn't have a sexual take.
No,
it's not Quentin Tarantino, making a movie. Yeah, and I took it too as almost, because it feels like he almost can't handle. Well, in the case of his mother, she was shot in the face, like through a pillow. So obviously very hard to look at that. But it's almost like he can't handle seeing like someone's humanity, because even the memories of the kid too are like the feet.
Mm-hmm.
So it feels very like avoidant almost, like a coping mechanism. Not dehumanizing. I don't think it's in that way, but yeah, interesting. I do have one thing that I can bring up. There are moments, even though he is suicidal, there are definite moments of self-care for him, which I thought was so interesting. Specifically, and maybe some unconventional self-care, but like specifically the sauna. Like, why are we spending time in the sauna in between this?
That's fair.
He loads up on snacks and drinks at one point, even like taking out his tooth.
Yeah, well, that's a little different.
One could argue that's self-care.
That was horrible. I hated that. But yes, no, I don't think I really thought about it during the film, that he does go to lengths to take care of himself. But yeah, that's fair. It's interesting.
Yeah. And maybe it just goes toward like, well, I have to be fit and well enough to carry out this job, especially if I'm going to be using a hammer.
Right.
And only a hammer.
Yeah. Did you?
His father's weapon of choice.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. Did you take that as a specific reference to Old Boy, or was that just coincidence?
Oh, I wish. No, I mean, yeah, that would make sense because it's a pretty iconic weapon
Sure.
in Old Boy. But I didn't think of it at the time. No. But yeah, it is very Old Boy in a way. Wow. Oh.
All right. Anything else before we wrap up?
No.
Yeah,
not really. Yeah, I think because it's a shorter movie too, and yeah, very. It's just a guy
just
doing
a
his
guy.
thing.
Yeah,
just a guy doing his thing.
It is ultimately a pretty simple film, but it is executed very differently than I think it would be traditionally, as I talked about earlier. And I'm certainly glad to have revisited it. I think I should see it, it shouldn't take me 7 years to come back to it again. I really do think this thing's very impressive. But yeah, if our discussion here is a little bit shorter than usual, it's also fair given what it is. But that also works out well because we have some housekeeping to do.
Ooh.
In two ways, actually. One, so we have finished this director, and we get to, as we reflect before we move on, we'll take a moment to assign some awards. So first, do you have a favorite performance from the 4 films we've seen by Lynne Ramsay?
Yeah, I think it's a tie for Samantha Morton and Joaquin Phoenix for me. Though Ezra Miller, also great performance.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate they were in a movie that I didn't like as much. But yeah, I think that feels right. What about you?
No, that's super fair. I would put Ezra Miller's above Joaquin Phoenix personally, but my favorite absolutely is Samantha Morton and Morgan Keller. I just think that she's impeccable in that role, and if she never makes anything that good again, I mean, she's already created something truly incredible. So, fair enough.
Did you have a favorite scene or a scene that really stuck with you of the 4 films?
Yes. So I have a couple that I thought through. I think one of the runners up is Morgan Keller with the book publishing agents. Thought that was incredible and so funny in a film that really is not otherwise very funny. Really showed some mastery of tone from Lynne Ramsay. Another that I thought about was the scene in Ratcatcher where he jumps through the window and then is running through the grain. I thought that was pretty incredible for all the reasons we talked about there. Very otherworldly, and I love that the camera tracks through and stays with them. Just, yeah, beautiful. But ultimately, I did go with the opening of Morgan Keller. I just was so immediately drawn into that film and affected so deeply by it just seemed like the right thing to do that appears on the computer. Just the imagery, the setup, just all of it was just incredible and emotional. And yeah. What'd you pick for your favorite scene?
Ooh, I agree. A runner-up for me is also the one comedic scene in Morgan Keller. Just awesome. What a delight. I'll remember that for a long time. I think it is going to be a tie again. I'm really bad at picking favorites.
That's fine. It's our show.
Yeah,
who's gonna stop you?
We can make the rules. So it's a tie between the underwater sequence, and You Were Never Really Here. I just thought it was gorgeous, and I'm gonna remember that for a while. And a different Morgan Keller moment, the scene where she is looking at his novel, and you have that great moment of tension that I talked about pretty extensively in our Morgan Keller episode, where she slowly erases his name and slowly plunks out her name. I loved that, and that, I think, encapsulates the thing I love about Lynne Ramsay the most, that that shouldn't be as suspenseful as it was, but it was so, like, I was on the edge of my seat in that very quiet moment. Those are my favorites.
Great pick. Yeah, what a scene. What a film. This might be less dramatic than it could potentially be in the future, but do you have a favorite film from the features we saw?
It's really hard to pick. No, it's actually not. Morgan Caller, absolutely. The most hidden gem that we've seen so far in our 4 whole episodes.
No, but it really is. When we looked at this film, I mean, it's her release scene. At least it's her release logged on Letterboxd. There's really not much writing or behind the scenes stuff about it, and yet it's just incredible. So yeah, and we can only tell you so many times to watch it, but wow, what a film! And yes, my favorite of the 4 as well is Morgan Caller. It went, not that my rating scale is the highest praise on the planet or anything, but it instantly joined. I don't give out 9s or 10s very often, but I loved this film. I thought it was just incredible.
Yeah, wow. And I'm so excited now to see her newest one.
Yeah,
when it does come out, and when we revisit her for that, Die My Love, in the fall, I believe.
Yeah. Our Pat, right?
Yeah, and Jennifer Lawrence. Fairly certain that's
there.
Correct.
You go. All the teenage stars. Before we wrap up, as we have finished the director, that means we get the very exciting element of announcing our next director. Do you wanna do the honors?
I would love to, and I'm very excited to watch something that's not going to make me deeply depressed.
Well, it depends on the film.
After the fact. Well, it depends on the film, but at least the first one. So our next director, it's going to be a bigger filmography, is Paul Thomas Anderson. And he's got a new one coming out this year as well, and we'll be getting to it.
Yeah, we've lined this up actually pretty nicely. So assuming that we keep to our weekly schedule, we will actually get to review one battle after another upon its release, which is very exciting.
But before we get there, we're going to go all the way back to the 90s and watch Hard 8.
Yeah, probably
1996.
It's got to be his least seen film. I haven't looked it up, but I feel like it would be.
Well, I haven't seen it, so.
Right after that, we get one of the best runs in cinema. He does Boogie Nights, Magnolia, Punch Drunk Love, There Will Be Blood, back to back to back to back. And then, I mean, beyond that, people, still love everything. So I have seen all of these, I think, as far as I remember, but a lot of them only once. And then the ones that I have seen repeatedly are some of my favorite films of all time. So I think we'll get a lot of good discussion. Plus, we'll be seeing films that people actually know. So maybe we can get more listener feedback as well. Speaking of that, you can find us on Letterboxd. I'm at Ryan Loves Film.
And I'm at Annie Morell. You can find the spelling of my last name in our show notes, I'm sure. And yeah, we're there. We're also on Instagram at retro_sin. That's CIN. We have an email, retrospectivecinemapodcast@gmail.com. And Ryan, we have a TikTok.
Yeah, we just finally started posting
one video. I believe it's also the same handle as our Instagram. retro_sin, CIN. So yeah, check us out there.
Yeah, so Instagram's what you might be expecting. We're promoting the content. But TikTok we're using it a bit differently currently, at least based on our one video, to talk about some stuff we're seeing in theaters. I put some thoughts on Sorry Baby out there. Annie and I will both be posting.
I'm seeing Eddington tomorrow.
Very cool. Yeah, I'm seeing it Thursday. So we can maybe both post our thoughts. Who knows? Ooh. Anyway, follow us on everything. Send us your thoughts if you agreed with anything, or if you just want to say hi. We will we'll respond to all of it. Until next time, that is our show. get excited for Paul Thomas Anderson. Good night.
Happy watching.
Happy watching.
Happy
Is that
watching.
our thing now? I have said it a couple times in a row.
You said it.
I didn't mean to.
Every episode.
Have I?
Yeah.
Wow. Well,
I think I'm fairly certain.
in that case, happy watching.